Hey, I'm Riley. Grab a drink, get comfy. This is Riley Reads the Internet. If this makes your day 1% better, you know what to do. Now, today's first story. When church gossip met the truth. I didn't plan on starting a birthday morning with a prayer circle turned mob, but here we are. My youngest was turning 15, so I handed her a small budget at the weekend market and told her to have fun. Candy, cocoa, whatever made her smile. It was supposed to be simple, quiet, safe. My older daughter and I browsed eggs and bread. After a while, my phone buzzed. My youngest, sobbing. "They cornered me," she said. "They won't let me go." I felt my chest lock up. We ran. We found her near the honey stall. 6 older women had boxed her in, voices low and sharp, calling her unchristian, lecturing her about honoring her grandparents and being a good big sister to her father's other children. My daughters discovered my ex's affair last year. Then the accident happened. The boy's mother died too. It's a lot. We have a therapist. We have boundaries. These women didn't care. I stepped in front of my kid. Calm voice, firm body. I told my older one to pay for the sweets and get her sister to the car. The women turned on me. Something about me refusing to obey my former in-laws like a good Christian wife. My ex is gone. My marriage was over in everything but paperwork. And still, this tone. That certainty, that entitlement. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I told them we were leaving. They followed us all the way to the parking lot like vultures that smelled a story. Come on, cornering a teenager over Christian duty? Deal breaker. That night, after the girls fell asleep, I messaged a friend from that same church, one of the reasonable ones. He apologized and told me why the vultures were circling. My ex-mother-in-law had posted a sweeping sob story in the church Facebook group. According to her, my daughters and I were heartless. We were abandoning 2 orphaned baby boys. We were leaving their grandparents homeless and penniless. She even claimed the boys were ours through a surrogate because I supposedly couldn't have more children, and that I rejected them because they were boys. Let me translate. She hid my ex's cheating by inventing a surrogate, and she leaned into pity like it was a sermon. This particular congregation can get loud on certain social issues, but they have one hard line: no cheating, period. My ex's mother knew that, so she recast adultery as a miracle of life, a rewriting of the facts to make us the villains. And it worked, for a minute. The extreme voices rallied. The comments rolled in. The pressure spilled offline straight onto my kid at a market. Here's what she left out. Before my ex died, I had a file. Not a revenge file, a divorce file. Messages, emails, timelines. The kind of documentation you keep when you've been lied to for too long, and you finally decide to choose yourself and your children. That file included words from my ex, words from his affair partner, and yes, words from his parents. Encouragement, excuses, tidy little phrases that asked me to be understanding while my home was being split down the center. There were also messages to my daughters, the kind you hope your kids never have to read. Blame, pressure, ugly labels tossed at teenagers who told the truth. They were told the accident was somehow their fault because they had told me about the affair. Imagine typing that to a grieving child, 2 days after losing their father. I sat with all of it the next morning. I breathed. I thought about my kids. Then I decided to correct the record. Not with rage, not with spectacle, but with facts. I organized the documentation into clear, readable packets. No gratuitous detail, no shock value. Just the timeline, the messages, and a short, calm note. Here's what actually happened. Here's what my daughters were dealing with. Here's why our boundaries are not cruel. They are necessary. I placed those packets where the right people would see them. Church leadership, a handful of members who were already swirling in the rumor stream. Not to humiliate, to stop the bleeding. To make sure that the next time someone felt tempted to corner a 15-year-old, they at least knew the truth. The response was immediate. The gossip machine stalled, then sputtered, then rewrote itself. People were angry. At the cheating, yes, but also at the way 2 minors had been dragged into grown-up sins. A few members wrote apology notes to my girls. They invited us for support. Some still said the divorce was a failure, but framed it as a shock response, something I might heal from. That framing isn't my favorite, but at least the blame shifted off 2 teenagers' shoulders. The pastor stepped in on Facebook to cool the language down to PG-13. A small mercy. My former in-laws didn't take it well. The spotlight turned hot. They left the church. My ex-mother-in-law posted about feeling alienated, about how no one cares for the elderly anymore, about wishing her great son were alive to provide. With what income, I don't know. I was the breadwinner. Also left out of her post, the will. My ex had quietly named his parents as beneficiaries. He told me once he'd named our daughters. He hadn't. I never asked for myself to be added. My own will leaves everything to my girls. But facts are stubborn things. They don't bend just because a Facebook story does. Some people asked about the boys. They're with extended family on their father's side. That's a relief. They didn't ask to carry any of this. My daughters didn't either. Kids never do. Grown-ups make choices. Kids live inside the consequences. The market incident lingered in my head. Not the words exactly, the posture. Adults surrounding a child and calling it love. I kept replaying my daughter's voice on the phone, the hitch in it, the way she still apologized for ruining her own birthday. We made a new memory a week later. Chocolate cake at home with her sister, a couple of close friends, low lights, 1 candle for each year. Laughter helped. Therapy helps more. I also reached out to the friend who tipped me off. I thanked him for telling me the truth about the post. He said the church didn't know what to do with a story that didn't fit the neat boxes. Faith communities talk about forgiveness and grace, but they don't always know how to hold the messy middle: adultery, grief, custody fights, teenagers who won't pretend. He wasn't making excuses, just naming the gap. Okay, so we're strict on cheating unless it's our friend. Then it's complicated? Right. Here's the part I didn't share online. There's a peace that comes with boundaries, not the soft, easy peace people romanticize. A tougher kind. The kind you get after choosing your kids again and again, even when that choice makes you unpopular. I don't need a congregation to bless it. I need a front door that closes. I need 2 girls who know they're protected in their own kitchen. I need to remember that love without truth is just noise. If you're keeping score, this is where we landed. The smear stopped. The church cooled off. The apologies came in small envelopes, not grand gestures. My daughters kept their therapy appointments. My former in-laws found another audience elsewhere. We did not take them in. We will not. They are still grandparents. They are not guardians. Those are different roles. I wish I could tell you that every adult who read the packets had an instant change of heart. They didn't. Some people cling to the version that hurts least. It's human. Others admitted what happened and still decided I was wrong for not returning to a broken marriage and spirit. That's their lane. I'm not driving in it. What I can tell you is this. When I finally set down the weight of proving I was a good wife to people who never saw me, my shoulders dropped an inch. I slept. I woke up, made coffee, packed a lunch, and watched my girls leave for school with that loose, ordinary confidence that says, home is safe. That's the win. Not the Facebook comments, not the church whispers, not even the apology notes. The quiet kitchen in the morning. My ex once told me secrets keep families together. He was wrong. Truth does. Not the brutal kind that tries to wound, the clear kind that anchors you in reality, even when reality hurts. We're anchored now. It's not perfect, it's real. That's enough. And if anyone is wondering whether those boys will ever hear from us, The answer isn't a headline. It's a boundary and a door left slightly open for when they're old enough, if they want it and if it's healthy. That's not drama. That's adulthood. Choices, consequences, compassion with guardrails. Here's my final word. We didn't win because someone got shunned. We didn't lose because some folks still judge. We chose safety, truth, and a future that doesn't revolve around cleaning up a grown man's mistakes. My daughters deserve a birthday that ends with cake, not a confrontation. So do yours. So do you. And if that means being the villain in someone else's story for a while, fine. I'll be the villain who kept her kids safe. That's a title I can live with. Okay, on to the next story. Cheat on your wife with mine? Here's how the truth burned it all down. I started noticing small cracks first. Our kids were 4 and 6, young, but old enough to chatter about their day. They kept mentioning time at my in-laws' place. Nice people, but they lived 90 minutes away. 2 or 3 trips a week for errands didn't add up. My wife brushed it off. Her face said otherwise. I paid attention. Patterns emerged. Extra miles on the car, days that didn't line up. Then one afternoon, she left a digital door wide open. I won't repeat the specifics, but what I saw confirmed the feeling in my gut. Messages with a close friend, talking about meetups with an old boyfriend, sneering at his wife for gaining weight after pregnancy. I saved what I needed and closed the laptop. My hands shook for a long time after. When someone mocks a mom's body to look cool, the red flags aren't red, they're sirens. I called a trusted friend in law enforcement for general advice and got connected to a licensed investigator. I hired him. No cowboy moves, no drama, just facts. Dates, times, photos. The routine was as predictable as weather in July. Drop the kids at her parents', lunch with him, a few hours at a budget motel, then home, smiles and small talk. It felt like watching a bad rerun of a show I never agreed to be in. My parents cheated on each other when I was a kid. The fallout left craters. I swore my children wouldn't grow up in that blast zone. So I hired a divorce attorney and began the slow, careful process of getting us out. Meanwhile, I asked the investigator to learn about the other guy. His name was Bob. Married, 3 children. Vice president of sales at a company owned by his father-in-law. That last part stuck with me. We filed. My attorney prepared the papers. I chose to serve my wife at work. Clean, official, minimal spectacle. On the same day, I asked the investigator to meet Bob's wife privately and show her the verified evidence. She deserved the truth. What she did with it was her call. The evidence didn't change my custody or support math much. In my state, infidelity isn't the lever people think it is. But in their house, it hit like a meteor. Court records later showed she closed their joint account, packed the kids, and left. Her father fired Bob the minute he learned what was going on. The house, also owned by her parents, was no longer an option. Eviction notices, lawyers, a brother who stepped in during a heated argument. Bob walked away with a broken nose and, shortly after, a stack of restraining orders. Police reports, criminal charges, time behind bars. He left the state, disappeared from the internet like a ghost. I didn't gloat. Honestly, there wasn't any joy in it. It was consequences. Heavy, inevitable, and frankly, late. As for his ex-wife, she went to work at her dad's company and eventually took over when he retired. The ship she was on didn't sink. She built a better one. Actions, consequences, not karma, cause and effect with a paper trail. Back on my side of the fence, I kept it boring. Boring is good during a divorce. I didn't argue about anything that didn't concern the kids. I documented. I showed up. I let the attorneys do the job I hired them to do. With the children, I focused on routine. School drop-offs, dinners at the table, bedtime stories even when I was tired, especially when I was tired. Stability is a language, and kids are fluent. In the quiet hours, the old family story kept replaying. Betrayal, chaos, and children left to stitch together the pieces alone. I refused that script. No screaming matches. No late-night driveway scenes. No pick-a-parent moments. When the hurt spiked, I took a walk. Wrote it down, called a friend. The kids didn't need to carry my feelings, they had their own to process. My ex and I settled into a functional detente. Kid logistics only, short messages, clear calendars. Once our children became adults, the conversations faded. I don't hate her. I don't seek her out either. She's their mother. That matters to them, so it matters to me. Past that, we live separate lives, which is the point. People sometimes ask if I feel bad about what happened to Bob. I don't feel good about anyone's marriage collapsing. I do feel clear about this. I didn't light that match. He did. I didn't push the consequences. I just stopped shielding him from them. There's a difference. Looking back, I'm grateful for 3 decisions. First, I chose facts over fireworks. Second, I drew boundaries I could actually keep. Third, I aimed all my energy at making my kids' world predictable. The rest, gossip, judgment, internet bravado, burned itself out. If you're standing on the edge of a similar cliff, hear this. Don't chase revenge. Chase clarity. Document, protect, and let the truth do what the truth does. It may not be fast, it won't be pretty, but it will hold. Here's where we landed. My kids grew up, steady and resilient. Their mom and I are civil when needed, silent when not. His ex took control of her future. Bob? Gone. The internet forgot him. Real life didn't. Final word. Betrayal is a spark. You don't have to become the fire. Tell the truth, protect your kids, and walk forward. Let the house of lies collapse on its own. That sound you hear afterward? That's quiet. That's peace. That's your life starting again. Now, the final story, the long game, quiet consequences. I am not a pro at payback. I am patient. There's a difference. 7 years ago, after a decade of saving, I bought my first place. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. The selling point was privacy. Shared block, yes, but a freehold title. No meddling committees, no strangers voting on my front door color. Just me and a quiet walkway we'd insure together. Perfect. 5 months in, my next-door neighbor, the landlord, knocked to sort insurance. He sent over the policy, Strata Insurance. I reread the title, then the listing, then my emails. Freehold, 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 in writing. My conveyancer was stunned. The agent? Not so much. We sat down, face to face. I brought printouts, ads, emails, dates. He shrugged. No apology, no solution. He offered me $1,000 to go away. Mediation followed. My ask was simple. When I sell, your agency lists it for free or covers the cost. They refused. I could have sued. The mediator even said I had grounds, but my health was a mess, and I needed my energy for living, not court. So I declined the fight. I did not forget. Not revenge, memory, with a long fuse. I learned 2 things without crossing any lines. 1, our local agent liked posting his life online. 2, he'd been on a boys' trip the year before the sale. I also knew where to address mail related to his business. On the 1-year anniversary of the sale, something small arrived at his home. Flowers, a neat little note. Dear agent, remembering you on our special day. She has your eyes. Love, L. The 2nd year, another small gesture. A card from overseas, postmarked from a country that matched his trip, signing off, Love, L. The 3rd year, a variation on the same theme. Nothing graphic, nothing threatening, just a steady, uncomfortable echo. People underestimate the power of timing. They also underestimate how loudly a whisper can play inside a quiet marriage. Year 4, year 5. Same day, different bouquet. The notes always circled the same line. On this, our special day. No instructions, no accusations, no names. Still, the pattern did what patterns do. It pointed. Around year 6, I heard what the pattern had become. Small towns talk. His wife started connecting dates. She asked questions. He finally admitted there'd been cheating. Not recently, but before the sale, including a trip that ended with an STD he once talked his way out of. The special day, landed right next to when that happened. Consequences don't ask for permission. What came next wasn't my doing. It was gravity. She left, and not empty-handed. Half the retirement, the house, the job, gone. Her parents owned the business he worked at. They didn't keep a liar on payroll. He lost his license, then his title, then the persona he posted for likes. Last I heard, he's out of the industry entirely. Do I feel guilty? Some days, a little. Then I remember he sold me the wrong life and refused to make it right. I remember the $1,000 he waived like a tip for my silence. I remember the mediator saying I had a case and me stepping back because my health came first. I chose patience. He chose lies. The timeline wrote itself. Karma isn't magic. It's math. You do slowly. Let me be clear. I didn't tell anyone to leave him. I didn't publish anything. I didn't name names. I let a clock tick and let implication do what accusation never could, turn a private story into an honest one. The truth arrived in envelopes and vases, on dates that mattered, in words that said little but meant a lot. If you're waiting for a chest-thumping victory lap, there isn't one. There's just a quieter driveway, a front door that closes, and a hallway that finally feels like mine. I pay my share of the walkway insurance and mind my business. The block is still shared. The title still says what it says, but the air is clear. Some folks will hear this and say I ruined a marriage. I didn't. I refused to carry the weight of his secrets for free. There's a line between cruelty and clarity, and I stayed on the right side of it. No threats, no stalking, no how-to. Just the soft tap of a reminder once a year that truth is patient, and so am I. You don't need to swing the hammer. Sometimes you just stop holding the wall up. Here's what I learned, and it's not exciting, but it's true. The long game is boring. It's calendar marks and deep breaths and getting on with your day while time does the heavy lifting. It's choosing health over war. It's refusing a quick explosion in favor of a slow sunrise where everything is easier to see. Final word. If someone sells you a lie and smiles while they do it, you don't have to become a villain to balance the books. Keep records. Keep calm. Keep your peace. The rest has a way of arriving, right on schedule, with a tiny card that says what everyone already knows. What would you do? Drop it below. If this made you smile, hit like and subscribe. You're awesome. See you next time.